Greetings, brethren. Have you ever wondered about this verse where it says, "Examine yourselves whether ye be in the faith"? Some people out there misinterpret this passage, and also Lordship says that um, if you're not producing the works, that you can question whether you be in the faith. That the if the inner man's not manifesting in your life, you can come to question if you really was saved. What was it really actually meaning? We have to put it into context. What is it saying, and what is it not saying? So we'll dig into this, and I'll provide you explanation of what the context is, what the interpretation should be. Now, the verse here says, "Examine yourselves whether you be in the faith. Prove your own selves. Know ye not your own selves how Jesus Christ is in you, except ye be reprobates." So they take it superficially, like, well, if your life is not changed, you better question um, your interchange, except you be disqualified or not really saved. So that's what they take it as. So what is it saying and what is it not saying? So it's saying, examine yourselves. So examine something about yourself, whether you be in the faith. So examine whether you be in the faith. Prove your own selves. Know you're not own selves, how that Jesus Christ is in you. So examine what's in you. Look within. And he's saying, don't you know yourselves? Don't you know that you should? He's saying that you should know that Jesus Christ is in you. So that's what it is saying. Examine. This is something about look within yourselves. And he's exhorting. He's saying you should know that you're in the faith because you do know that Jesus Christ is in you. Because of Jesus Christ is in you. So let's get the context. It's something about looking within, not your outer manifestation of the inner change. Not talking about the outer change, the outer change, or the inner change and manifesting in a changed life or outer changed life in the way you live. So what does it say? It says, we back up, get the context. It says in verse 3, seek ye, since ye, so since ye seek, they're looking for something. What they were looking for? A proof. What they were looking for, proof of what? Christ speaking in me. They were looking for proof that Christ is speaking in him. What is he talking about? What are they talking about? What are they seeking proof of Christ? Why are they seeking proof? What is this about? We're seeking proof of Paul's apostleship. So since ye seek a proof that Christ is actually speaking in me, which is to your word, is not weak, but is mighty in you. So what it's saying here that the Christ speaking in me is to you is not weak in power, but it's mighty working in you. He's saying, look within yourselves, examine yourselves, whether I'm a really apostle, that I brought the gospel, that the gospel actually transform you. Look within you. Don't you know your Christ is in you, that you're reborn? You should know that Christ is reborn. Since you are born again, that's proof. You have the Holy Spirit. That's proof of my apostleship, that Christ is actually speaking in me. So they're actually seeking a proof that Christ is actually speaking in him. That is apostleship. 2 Corinthians 12:12. Truly the signs of an apostle were wrought among you in all patience and signs and wonder and mighty deeds. So it's not really talking about the manifestation of the interchange, but whether, you know, they seen something weak within Apostle Paul. They're like questioning him, you know. He's like, well, look within yourselves. That's proof. Aren't you? Isn't Christ in you? If Christ is in you, then that's proof of my apostleship, that the gospel transformed you and you are born again. So it's 2 Corinthians 13:3-6. Since ye seek, they are seeking proof of Christ speaking in Apostle Paul's apostleship. There's to your words, not weak. So the speech, his preaching is not weak, that it could not accomplish what it was set out to accomplish, but it was mighty in you, working you, converting you into believing, putting your faith in Jesus Christ. For though he was crucified through weakness, so he was humble. He's seen as a humble, meek man. That he had infirmities in the flesh. Yet he liveth by the power of God. For we are weak in him. We are humble. We have our infirmities, but we shall live with him by the power of God toward you. So the mighty working power within us, although we are outward pure weak, we have infirmities, we slip up, backslide. There's a mighty working power within you that converted you. So if it converted you, you have the power to walk in newness of life. So examine yourself, whether it be in the faith. So it's talking about, if don't you know that Christ is in, don't you know yourselves? Don't you know what happened to you? That Christ is in you. If Christ is in you, if if my preachings didn't convert you, you're not saved. But he says, I trust that you know that you're not reprobates. You know what happened to you because of the mighty work and power of the new birth. He trusts that he knows that Christ is in them, that the transformation of the new birth, you know, although I appear weak, the mighty work and power within me is proof that his preaching of the gospel, the Holy Spirit, that was mighty working me, is mightily working you to convert you, and thus and mighty working power of the Holy Spirit to sanctify you in progressive sanctification or experiential sanctification. Because after, he said, well, you seek proof of my apostleship. I seem weak. I seem humble. The problem here was that in his letters he seemed so bold, but they're like, when they finally met him, he's like humble, and we see his infirmities. He's not such this great guy. He's like, well, though in my flesh I'm meek, humble, have infirmities, but the mighty working power that I preached the gospel to you, converted you, and is in working you to um, produce new birth in you and sanctify you in your walk. So the proof is that after you preach the gospel, the death, burial, resurrection, that after they trusted Jesus Christ, after they heard the preaching of the gospel by Apostle Paul of their salvation, that the Holy Spirit was working within them to convert them and to produce new birth, that they were sealed with the Holy Spirit promise, in whom ye also trusted, as ye heard the word of truth, the gospel of your salvation, in whom also ye have, after that ye believe, you are sealed the Holy Spirit promise. So the witness, look within yourself, that Christ is in you, the Spirit of Christ, the Spirit of God, the Holy Spirit's within you, witnessing to you. We read that in Romans 8:9, that ye are not in the flesh, but in the Spirit, if so be that the Spirit of God dwells in you, the Spirit of God dwells in you. But if you don't have the Spirit, guys, you're not His. So, as many are led by the Spirit of God, they are sons of God. For ye not received the spirit of bondage again to fear, but ye have received the spirit of adoption, where we cry, Abba, Father. The Spirit itself bears with our spirit. The Holy Spirit bears with our spirit that we are actually children of God. So we have the witness. And he's like, look within yourselves. You have the witness of, salvation, that the very witness of salvation, the Holy Spirit within you is witnessing that my apostleship, my preaching accomplished what it was to do. His preaching, they heard the word, the Holy Spirit came and dwelt in them to produce new life, and bears that they are children of God. Now, the rest after that, examine yourselves whether it be in the faith, actually is exhortation to do good. Our actions should mirror what happened in the inner man, the transformation of the spiritual man, the new birth. It says, now pray to God that ye do no evil. I pray to God that you should not do evil. I hope that, I really pray, I hope that you don't do evil. That not that we should be peer approved. So now I'm taking my own credit that you're approved, but that you should do which is honest through as though we as be reprobates. So he's not taking credit, not that I appear approved or they appear approved in a superficial way, but to do what honest, do what be honest of what happened in the inner man. So it should mirror inner actions. And he is not taking his own credit, but the mighty working power that was working in him and was working through the gospel to convert the person. That, and when we yield, it produces ability to live in a manner pleasing to God. For we are glad that when we are weak, ye are strong. So where he's not taking no credit, but is the mighty work in the Spirit of God. And this is also, we wish, even your perfection. Therefore, write these things, being absent, least being present, I should use sharpness, according to the power which the Lord hath given me, to edification and not to destruction. So they hear, they're like, well, we read this in his letters. He seems so bold and abrasive, this big, man that had the power to preach and harshness to convict the sinners. But when they meet him, it's like, this is the same guy. He's so humble. We see his weaknesses. We see that he has infirmities. He's like, I use sharpness for, according to the power which is given to him, for edification, but not to destructions. My intent is not to damn you to hell, but to or to hurt you. Okay, not to destruction. My purpose, intent, not to condemn you to hell, or that I would like to you to hell. And my purpose is not to hurt you, but that you should grow. You should turn from your wicked ways and walk in this life for your better edification. So appear weak, humble. You see my infirmities. I'm a mortal man, although I'm mighty in power preaching. I'm weak. Same as you. You are weak in the flesh. But the mighty work and power that was in me to preach it, that when you heard, that converted you, still works in you to will and to do his good pleasure. That God is working within you when you yield to him to live in a manner pleasing to him. So that's the interpretation that we should be going at. And wasn't that the 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 changed life prove that you're saved? But he says your conversion, your salvation, is proof that he is actually apostle. And although I'm weak, I see him humble infirmities, the same mighty work and power working within me to and preach the gospel, and the same mighty work and power worked within you to produce new birth, is the same power that's working within you to do his good pleasure. So it's not about, well, this is the proof of your salvation, that changed life in your works is proof of your salvation. It's saying that this mighty work and power, you seek proof that, I'm actual apostle. I seen gentle infirmities. I let you down. It seems like um, that I'm weak in infirmities. So this can't be the same guy. This can't be an apostle. But where is the mighty work and power? Well, if you have the Holy Spirit within you, the Spirit of Christ within you, that is the proof that I am an apostle sent by God. I'm actually sent by God, speaking, that Christ is speaking in me to preach the gospel. So that's what it's saying. So hopefully this gives you some insight, the correct way to look at it, and we'll see you next time. Thank you and take care.